In this video, we shall learn how we can measure own price, cross price, and income elasticity of demand using arc elasticity formula. Suppose we are given a table like this, and we are asked to find out relevant elasticities. In this table, QX stands for quantity demanded for X, PX stands for price of X, which is the own price of commodity X. When we consider the change in quantity demanded for X due to the change in price of X, we get own price elasticity of demand. Again, PY stands for price of Y, which is the cross price of good X. What is cross price? When quantity demanded for a good changes due to the change in price of other good, the price of other good is called cross price. Hence, when quantity demanded for X changes due to the change in price of Y, we get cross price elasticity of demand. Finally, when quantity demanded for X changes due to the change in income of the consumer M, we get income elasticity of demand. So, from this table, we can measure three types of elasticity of demand: own price, cross price, and income elasticity of demand. First, let us see how we can measure the own price elasticity of demand. When we measure own price elasticity, we consider the first two columns and ignore the last two columns. Here the first column shows data on quantity demanded for X and second column shows the price of X. Again, data given in the first row shows the initial values of the variables and the second row shows the new values of the variables. Now we can proceed as follows. According to the table, if price of X rises from $2 to $4, quantity demanded for X falls from 58 units to 50 units. Clearly, quantity demanded for X falls due to the rise in price of X. That is, the relationship between quantity demanded for X and price of X is inverse. It is exactly what the law of demand says. Here we see initial price of X, Px1 equals $2. New price of X, Px2 equals $4. Again, initial quantity demanded for X, Qx1 equals 58 units and new quantity demanded for X, Qx2 equals 50 units. Now we can apply the arc elasticity formula to measure the own price elasticity of demand. According to the arc elasticity formula, own price elasticity EXX equals change in QX divided by change in PX multiplied by PX1 plus PX2 divided by QX1 plus QX2. Therefore, EXX equals change in QX means QX1 minus QX2, that is the difference between initial quantity demanded for X and new quantity demanded for X, divided by change in price X equals Px1 minus Px2, that is the difference between initial price of X and new price of X, multiplied by sum of prices divided by sum of quantities. We have to keep in mind that when we take changes, if we put initial quantity demanded for X, Qx1 first, we have to put initial price of X, that is Px1 first. Similarly, if we put new quantity demanded for X, Qx2 first, we have to put new price of X, Px2 first. Now, we have the values of Qx1, Qx2, Px1 and Px2. Substituting these values in the formula, we get EXX equals 58 minus 50 divided by 2 minus 4 into 2 plus 4 divided by 58 plus 50. After performing necessary calculations, we get EXX equals minus 0.222. As we know, the value of own price elasticity will always be negative due to the law of demand, which states that the relationship between price of X and quantity demanded for X is inverse. What we need to do, we have to take the absolute value of the own price elasticity to ignore the negative sign, which is necessary to make comment. Here, the absolute value of own price elasticity equals 0.222, which is less than 1. Now this is time to make comment. Here I am showing you the probable comments we can make based on the answer we have. There are 5 possible situations. Clearly, when we find absolute value of own price elasticity is less than 1, it is called inelastic demand. As the result we get, that is the own price elasticity is 0.222, which is less than 1, we can say demand is inelastic, which means percentage change in quantity demanded for X is less than percentage change in price of X. This is how we can measure own price elasticity of demand using arc elasticity formula. Let us now turn to cross price elasticity of demand. When quantity demanded for X changes due to the change in price of Y, we can measure cross-price elasticity of demand. When we measure cross-price elasticity, we consider the first column that shows quantity demanded for X and the third column that shows price of Y, and we ignore second and last column. In table, if price of Y rises from $4 to $6, quantity demanded for X falls from 58 units to 50 units. Now we can proceed as follows to measure cross-price elasticity. According to the table, initial price of Y, PY1, equals $4. New price of Y, PY2, equals $6. And initial quantity demanded for X, QX1, equals 58 units. New quantity demanded for X, QX2 equals 50 units. Now let us apply the arc elasticity formula to measure cross-price elasticity of demand. Here cross-price elasticity EXY equals change in QX divided by change in PY multiplied by PY1 plus PY2 divided by QX1 plus QX2. Therefore, EXY equals change in QX equals QX1 minus QX2 and change in PY equals PY1 minus PY2 multiplied by sum of prices divided by sum of quantities. As like earlier, if we put initial value of quantity demanded for X, QX1 first, we must put initial price of Y, PY1 first. Now, setting the values of prices and quantities in the formula, we get EXY equals 58 minus 50 divided by 4 minus 6 multiplied by 4 plus 6 divided by 58 plus 50. After performing necessary calculations, we get cross-price elasticity EXY equals minus 0.370. Now, we have to make comment. As I mentioned, we are not just solving a problem. The solution gives us important directions when we measure elasticity of demand. Cross-price elasticity of demand shows the relationship between two goods. As we learned in our earlier videos, there are three possible relationships. The goods may be substitute. In this case, cross-price elasticity is positive. If the goods are complementary, cross-price elasticity is negative. And cross-price elasticity will be zero if the goods are not related or independent. Here we find the cross-price elasticity is negative and hence X and Y are complementary goods like milk and sugar. Finally, we shall measure income elasticity of demand. When quantity demanded for X changes due to the change in income of the consumer M, we can measure income elasticity of demand. When we measure income elasticity of demand, we consider the first column that shows quantity demanded for X and the last column that shows the income of the consumer, and we ignore second and third column. In table, if income of the consumer falls from $100 to $80, quantity demanded for X falls from 58 units to 50 units. Now we can proceed as follows to measure income elasticity of demand. According to the table, initial income of the consumer M1 equals $100. New income of the consumer M2 equals $80. Initial quantity demanded for X, QX1 equals 58 units, and new quantity demanded for X, QX2 equals 50 units. Now, let us apply the arc elasticity formula to measure income elasticity of demand. Here, income elasticity of demand EM equals change in QX divided by change in M multiplied by M1 plus M2 divided by QX1 plus QX2. Therefore, EM equals change in QX equals QX1 minus QX2 and change in M equals M1 minus M2 multiplied by M1 plus M2 divided by QX1 plus QX2. As we put initial quantity demanded for X QX1 first, we put initial income of the consumer M1 first. Now setting the values of income and quantities in the formula, we get EM equals 58 minus 50 divided by 100 minus 80 multiplied by 100 plus 80 divided by 58 plus 50. After performing necessary calculation, we get income elasticity equals 0.667. Now we are in position to make comment. As I have shown you, income elasticity describes the nature of a product. Looking to the income elasticity of demand, we can categorize the goods into 5. I have shown these 5 categories of goods in this table. Here you see when the income elasticity is greater than 0 but less than 1, the good is normal. Here we get income elasticity EM equals 0.667. which is greater than 0 but less than 1. Therefore, X is a normal good. This is how we can measure own price elasticity, cross price elasticity, and income elasticity using this table.